doing the opening podcast. All right, and we're back. Andy Frasco's World Saving Podcast. I'm Andy Frasco. How's our heads? How's our minds? We staying out of trouble? Did you forget all your goddamn podcast gear in Denver, Colorado? Yes, I did. So I am on 2 iPhones, but that's the thing. Vacation is like that. I'm not really a guy who goes on vacation per se. Oh, I'm going to take this. I work a lot. I never get to enjoy this. So here we are shooting a video in, are we in Vacay? Vacay. What do you know about Vacay? Come over here. Greg, get over here. Come here, Greg. Sit over here with me.
Let's get in here. Howdy.
Hey.
How are we this morning? Coffee?
I just met you this week.
Yeah, this week.
But you have been Spoon-Fed Tribe's tour manager. You moved out to Puerto Rico, but yeah. Puerto Rico. Tell me a little about Puerto Rico. Why'd you move here?
For the beautiful nature, the way of life, the vibes that we're getting, the vibes we're giving, fishing, eating, swimming, surfing, chicks.
Does this refuel you?
Every day.
Do you think I need something like this?
It looks good on you right now.
So we're going to go fishing. What else are we going to do?
We're going to do a little bioluminescent tour. Swim with some plankton. Actually, I don't think you swim with them here, but kayak in it.
Can you take mushrooms? Is it safe to do that?
100.
Okay, so we're going to take mushrooms and do the bioluminescence.
100. It makes them a little really shiny, bright.
Cool.
Special tracers.
And then we're going to Racon. Where's Racon?
West side, northwest corner of Puerto Rico. Surf capital of Puerto Rico.
Surf capital. And can I learn how to surf there?
You're going to be an excellent surfer.
Well, let's fucking do it.
Let's do it.
Greg, thanks for having me on this trip.
Let me stop by.
Yeah, come on. Go back to snorkeling, setting up your stuff for fishing. I'm out here with Chad Cocuzza. Chad, get over here too. This is a quick one. We're gonna do a quick opening because we're on an iPhone. You having fun?
Dude, it's the times that dreams are made of, my friends.
I'm glad we're having this experience together. We always try to have a vacation once a year, and it refuels me to get back out there to whoop ass.
Yeah, man. It's always a good motivation to, look at life in different aspects, man. I mean, we get to see this aspect right now. We didn't get to see this aspect before.
You're lying your ass off. We've been drinking and doing the same goddamn thing we would do if we were in fucking...
Today's the day. We're about to go do a nice little hike, and then we're going to do some swimming and wrestle some sharks.
We're not touching any... There's sharks?
Nah, there's no sharks. There's no snakes or spiders or any of that stuff either, bro.
Dude, they are wild horses. I do want to go touch a wild horse while listening to Wild Horses by Rolling Stones.
Yes. That is 100% doable here.
Do you think that's cliche?
I don't think anybody's probably ever done that here.
All right. Well, here, we're going to keep this short and sweet. We got Anderson East on the show today. Do you know Anderson East?
No, I don't know much about him, but I think he's from, is he from Dallas?
He is from, I can't remember, Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
Yeah, but it was a great interview. I can't wait for you to listen to that one. What are we going to do? We're going to have a great week. I'm excited. We're already 5 days in. We did the drinking last week. San Juan was insane. I did Puerto Rican ketamine. I never thought I'd do that. I've only done ketamine twice in my life, and I thought in a random island was the right place to do it. We hung out with some locals. That was a wild night. Saturday night was wild. Why don't you give them a brief synopsis of what happened Saturday night?
All right. Saturday night, old San Juan, first time going down there. It does have a really old kind of Spaniard kind of town vibe.
Yeah, it felt like I was in Spain.
We're talking cobblestones, really narrow streets, very steep, beautiful people everywhere. Everybody's so nice. This guy just kind of felt our energy the other night and was like, "Are you the band? You guys have a good energy." And then he ended up.
Yeah, he did. He's like, he just walked up. We were at the bar and we were already pretty fucking buzzed, and we didn't know it was 12 o'clock. He's like, "You are a band. I could feel it." Then he looked us up. He's like, "Holy shit, you're in a successful."
He looked like one of the cops from Sabotage.
He looked like a super trooper.
Yeah, he's perfect mustache, perfect straight hair, and just I like to rock and fucking roll, man.
Yeah, they're like, "You want to do some ketamine? You want to do some cocaine?" I'm like, I'll do some ketamine. I've never done that. I felt like I was in Denver, but on an island.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. And then we rocked out, and we went to a house party, a local house party.
People from Denver, I think it was, right?
A lot of people from America have moved here.
Yeah, man, we're just running into all kinds of our buds down here unexpectedly.
Yeah. And I had to bail out of there early, but you guys kept it going till about 5 a.m., didn't you, boys?
Listening to this guy play Grateful Dead songs till about 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, I love it. Only in Puerto Rico. Do you know anything about Repsy.com? Do you ever listen to the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I get in there sometimes, bud, and check it out.
You don't fucking watch it. You don't listen to shit. You see me all the goddamn time.
Repsy is the company that like books the bands, like you manager kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, why don't you try to do a sell pitch for Repsy?
All right, Repsy, guys, this is what's at. You put your stuff in there, you get a little website going, you get a little this and that going, and they'll find some hand-picked shows for you and say, voila.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's not it at all. Repsy.com. Well, it's half it. Repsy.com. Go sign your band up for Repsy, and they're going to help you find some shows, and voila. And if you are a wedding planner or an independent booker as well, you could sign up. And you could have the Bam Bam Thank You Ma'am. Repsy, full service for musicians trying to do it independent, and venues trying to do it independent, and whatnot. So sign up.
All kinds of events going on, baby.
So sign up for Repsy.com. All right, we're going to have a good day. We're going to snorkel.
Black Sand Beach right now.
We're going to Black Sand Beach?
Yeah, right over there.
Okay. Guys, be safe. I love you. I'll see you next week. Who's on the show next week? Oh, Gilbert Gottfried. Isn't that crazy? I interviewed Gilbert Gottfried.
Love that guy.
Dude, he was the best, dude. We were talking about if Dick Van Dyke got pussy. You're going to love that one. All right, guys. Enjoy Anderson East, and I'll catch you back in America. No, we're still going to be here on this week.
Yeah, we're here another week and a half, man.
Dude, we got a week. I got to stop drinking. We're taking 3 days off. We have to.
That's what we're doing.
That's why we came. We got off the ferry and started drinking at the bar. This is not why we came here. I know all you crazy assholes. That's why you're my best friends. Okay. I love you. I'll see you guys after. Enjoy Anderson East, and we'll catch you later. Good? Anderson East. Wow, this is awesome. What's up, dude?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Where you at right now? It looks like a studio or something.
Yeah, at the studio at my house here in Nashville. The upstairs there, and it was pretty much just a glorified closet.
Oh my god!
So yeah, we've got a little more room to expand now.
How important is like being creative to you all the time?
I don't necessarily think all the time is something that is at the forefront in my mind. It's kind of I'm definitely more of like a task-oriented person. Like if there's something I'm going for, then I'm like laser focused until that's done.
Yeah.
But I always like having something going on to at least keep me sane from going totally off into the deep end of whatever shit I can drum up in my head.
Yeah, like what do you tend to overthink about a lot that you'd rather be distracted on working?
Man, usually it's like just like Neanderthal stuff. Like, man, I need to be like cutting the grass or, clearing out brushes and all kinds of, just like weeding the garden, all that kind of stuff is usually where my brain's at. Just simple, dumb stuff like that.
That's awesome. Like, what did you tell me about your life in Alabama? You grew up in Alabama, or did you grow up in Athens, Alabama? Never heard of that. Where is that near?
It's like right in between Huntsville and like Florence, right on 65. Yeah, it was like a small town, and it's rapidly growing now. There's like a lot of like car manufacturers that are moving in there, and so that little neck of the woods is really blowing up. But yeah, man, it was kind of there just wasn't a lot going on. I always say it was a good place to be from, but for me, whenever I hit that like 17-year-old mark, I was like, it's time to go.
Peace the fuck out, Alabama. I got bigger things to fry. What was you? I've read in a lot of interviews that like your grandfather was a big inspiration to you growing up. Was he a pastor or something? Or tell me a bit about your grandfather and what he meant to you.
Yeah, man, he actually just passed away about a week and a half ago.
Oh fuck, man! I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, but yeah, he was a great man, and yeah, he was the pastor. So pretty much everybody in our family had some kind of role to do in church, whether, like my grandmother was, and my aunts were like the Sunday school teachers, and my mom played piano, and
yeah.
So we were very much that in that world growing up, and having him as this patriarchal figure. He was a very wise man, a very like manly man, outdoorsman, but definitely commanded attention. And so sitting in front of him every Sunday and was this I don't know, just a kind of an education in lots of different ways beyond just learning how to be have a great example of like what a man actually is, and being there for his family, but also to deliver, really complicated, messages to people that just in a way that was compelling and exciting.
What was like the best message, the most important message he taught you growing up?
Man, I would think probably to his ability just to be able to listen was always kind of a big factor. He was never like, this like outspoken person like in his everyday life, but was always the one that would sit there and make you like, what's going on behind all that? So you at least wanted to present yourself in the best manner around somebody that has this like stoicism.
Yeah, I bet, dude. It's got to be tough too.
Like like even he was just never one for noise too either. So like my mom, all he had all he had was daughters, and the majority of his grandkids were daughters. And so when it come to like Sunday after church, it's like, if y'all are going to be talking that much, y'all are going to need to go sit outside.
Really? That is funny.
Yeah.
You
just need to be some quiet time.
That's pretty amazing. So like, did you get into singing like early in your life, or did you like, did it take a couple minutes? Like, what were you doing like when you're like 10 years old? What were you passionate about? Like when you're starting to first hear your grandfather talk, were you religious? Was it something you didn't really believe in? Like, tell me about those years before we get into like you leaving Alabama and stuff.
I definitely, I was in the youth choir and all that kind of stuff. And, it wasn't, I didn't have like there was never like definitely like any kind of like secular music type thing. But, I remember, getting a solo one time and singing, and, my little, prepubescent, high-pitched, gravelly voice, and I was like, oh, I kind of like that. I don't know why I like it, but I like the way that felt, and I definitely kind of the elevation that at least gospel music gives you, and kind of that's at its essence is this ability to interface with the divine, right? So that was always super attractive and really moving. I don't remember what the second part of your question was, but
so you're living in you're singing in the church. Like, what was it? Who told you that? Hey, you actually could do this, or did you always grow up in music so you knew no matter what you're going to be a musician?
Well, I mean, we didn't have any bars, or there was no place for music really to exist in our town.
Right.
And so, and this was like pre-internet, so you would have to go find a bookstore. And for me, I like what really got me going was I got one of those Tascam Porta Ones
What is
tape
that?
recorders. It's like a little 4-channel. I've actually got it around here somewhere, but it's just a little cassette recorder. It had like 4 tracks. And so I was like, how do you record stuff on this thing and make it sound like this Michael Jackson record? When I'm just sitting in my parents' basement, just like, this isn't making any sense. So everything that I ever did was always, how do you make it sound like a Michael Jackson record?
Yeah.
And so that, I had like, a little middle school band and stuff like that, but nobody was ever as passionate as I was. So I was like, well, hell, if I'm gonna have to do it myself, I got to learn how to write good songs. I got to learn how to play, and I got to learn how to sing. So it was all, this kind of the snake eating its own tail kind of thing. It was all just to lead back to how can I do? I just want to record something.
Yeah, so like it feels like you're very self-sufficient. Like you, whenever you need a task done, you get it done. Like, how hard is it for you to delegate work now and like trusting people that they're gonna market a record or trusting people that they're gonna fucking engineer it or produce it with that idea of like, you're the type of dude, which I'm learning about, is like, all right, no one else believes in it. I'm gonna get this shit done right now. Like, how hard is it to delegate work?
Man, that's always been a real struggle for me because I've used this analogy before, but it's like it's really difficult to be the race car driver and the pit crew.
That's good fucking point, dude.
You can't change your own tires, So so for me, like my head, I have a very like gear-minded head, engineering mind, and all that. But when it comes to being on the other side of the microphone, like that's your job. That's what you gotta. That's what you're there for. That's what you got to do. And
right.
And if you're too worried about like, oh well, what compressor is going to be the right application here, or X, Y, and Z piece of gear, like it's all these just layers of like transparency film that's just ultimately clouding what you're trying to get. And so that was my main gig before. I wanted to be a studio engineer, so like I even went to school for that, and was working in studios here in town, and then just kind of back ass or just walked into a record deal at some point, and then here we are. So I've just been fortunate enough to where like I have the skill set and the vocabulary to be able to work in a studio and to express what I want. And then I've also been fortunate enough to like be around not only incredible engineers and musicians, but also I've been able to see like really good and really bad producers.
Yeah, I bet.
And so, once you find those people that you're like, all right, these people are incredibly gifted and talented, so I'm just going to let them do this part, so I can just focus on my job.
So what makes a good and what makes a bad producer?
I think there's it's kind of one of those, like, it's a delicate dance, right? It's like you either need somebody who's super focused on what they want and know how to get there, or you need somebody that's, and I think that ultimately is the like number one thing, but you can also balance that with somebody who has the want or the ability to just explore.
Yeah.
But then, I think the greatest thing is to be able to tell somebody to stop. Be like, all right, we got it.
Yeah.
The perfectionist in, probably all of us is like, well, I can do that take better. I can do, I can sing this word a different way, and just have somebody be like, no, you're done. Like this, we got the good part of you. Because, that's just like, you can never actually see yourself, for who you are. You just have to trust that somebody's able to pick out the good part of you and say, all right, that's good. Let's just move on, because otherwise you'll just kill yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's kind of like a sense of insecurity in a way.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
That's got to be the toughest part. It's like, it's like, or it's the toughest part is like
handing off something that you already know how to do, and you know you could delegate your time to it, but in sense, like then you're not giving your full 120% to the actual craft that you're doing. You're singing or writing songs and stuff. Give me some examples of some like bad producers. You don't have to, you could talk shit, but you don't have to say their names or anything. But just like what? Give me the time in a session that it was just like, God damn, this is a waste of my fucking time.
Well, I mean, like, whenever I was engineering, it was never like, massive records or anything like that. But it was, the producer would just be like on his phone all day, or just like not engaged with the task at hand. I think that was always kind of my frustration, that there are other people in the room that are caring more than the person whose job it is to make sure things get done and get done in a good way. Not to say that, there ain't time to like sit out and zone on eBay and look at something. And, there's definitely a time and a place for that. But once it gets to a point to where it's like the results aren't meeting up, then it's over for me.
Yeah. What about, before I want to start getting into your musical career, I got one more question. Like, what was the transition like, or like, what was that moment where it was kind of like you switched from being an engineer, being a producer, into being a songwriter, being a musician that's getting record deals? Was it do you remember the person who told you, hey, you should actually do this? Or did you like randomly get a record deal? Like, tell me that transition into the next part of your life.
Well, I was kind of just like meandering around playing just kind of any kind of pickup shows I could get. And,
in Nashville?
Yeah, in Nashville. And there was this one night I got invited to play at this place called the Bluebird, which is like a
sick
songwriter place. It's a cool room, kind of a touristy trap, but it's a good place for songwriters to go make good money for an evening sitting around with their friends. So it was just kind of one of those nights. Somebody had invited me to come down and sing a few songs, and I just had inevitably had a few too many beers, and I was like, I gotta take a piss. And so I just stopped the show and made everybody wait while I went to the bathroom, and came back and finished the show. And
that's real.
And this guy walks up. Yeah. This is all true. And after the show, this guy comes up and introduces himself and says, "Hey man, my name's Dave Cobb. I'm a producer here in town." And this was before any of his critical success or anything like that. I mean, he'd had success before then, but not the the Chris Stapletons of the world hadn't come along. And he's like, "Hey man, that was great, man. Why don't you come over to the house and let's figure something out?" And so we just clicked and just became like super close friends really fast. And I did some engineering for him, and finally he was like, "Hey man, let's record a couple songs." And I was like, "Dude, I don't have any money." And so he's like, "Well, I'll pay to get 2 songs made." I was like, well, "All right, sounds good, man." And it was like, these are the best 2 recordings that I'd ever done. I was like, all right, man, this seems like this is the direction that I want to go. And, I was still broke and, engineering where I could. And finally he was like, "Man, why don't you, how to," he was redoing the floor in like the lounge part of the studio. He's like, "You know how to do, staining floor, concrete floors?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I do." And so I had no earthly idea. It looked like by the time I was done, like a cow had given birth in the floor of that thing. It was a disaster.
Oh man. So you never had it never was a no in your vocabulary. You just said, "We're going to get this done." It seems like, Anderson.
Yeah. It's kind of like, man, I was just either too naive or too dumb to like know any better. It was just like I knew what I want to do. I want to make music. I want to make records in whatever capacity that is. So I'm going to do it in whatever form comes along. And, you know, just one opportunity always leads to something else.
So you bartered staining his floor for a whole record or something? What was that? Tell me about that.
It was, you know, it was part of it. Yeah, it was part of it. And so we made what was ended up the Delilah record, and then I was like, oh, what are we going? I don't know what to do with it, and then, you know, he had gotten this kind of JV through Atlantic at the time, and it's like, hey man, you want to come on board and be the first record out of this? And I was like, I think it's a terrible move for your career, but absolutely.
So, holy shit. So Jay Cobb believed in you, or Brent Cobb. Is it Brent Cobb?
Dave Cobb.
Dave Cobb. Sorry.
Dave
I'm
Cobb.
thinking of,
yeah,
there's
Brent's
so many.
older cousin.
Oh, yes. Brandon, by the way, is one of the best songwriters on the planet too, dude.
Oh, dude.
Dude, that family
He's
is
unmatched.
that family is so talented. It's unbelievable. Okay, so
Frightening.
Cobb was like, all right, make the record. So how does the deal work when he basically pays for the record and he gets you a record deal? How does that work? And how does like ownership of the album work? Is essentially like, does he own the record because of that? Or does he, or is it a different, he's like saying, all right, well, I'm going to do the next record that on that record deal. How does that work?
Like whenever it was, you know, we were starting to figure all that out, like I'd owned it all. And so the label just kind of bought it from us. And, you know, everybody who played on it was kind of just doing like, you know, cousin favors and stuff like that. And so, you know, they went back and had to go through the union and all that fun stuff that they do. And so it worked out great for everybody. But no, it was never this like, you know, we're going to do this and you're going to work. I'm going to do this record. It was never that kind of thing. It was like, he's always been super encouraging. Like, man, go do you, be creative, find people I'm here to support. And, but you know, again, it's just like, it's my friend. And then you're just super talented on top of that. So it's just like, what a easy working relationship.
Man, it's
so we did the next two together.
So lucky that you met a guy like him.
So lucky.
Because like, you know, it's like Nashville is filled with all these different types of people. And to get a guy like Cobb right before he starts blowing up, I mean, you had to have been one of his first big records, right? Or were those first two records with Atlantic, they didn't sell that well?
So I think whenever we had finished the record, I think Isbell's Southeastern record, Jason Isbell's record, came out and was just like
massive.
Massive. And so we were kind of just, and Sturgill Simpson, that was like metal modern sounds of country music came out around then. And then, my record came out and then, you know, went on the road to Sturgill, and that was kind of the inception of everything. And we just kind of, you know, had luck of just playing shows. You know, we were out there doing 200 shows a year for 5 or 6 years. And so it was just keep churning and keep working. And then that's kind of where I think in my brain, everything really clicked, was the live show.
So tell me about that.
I was used to being just like singer-songwriter guy, just, you know, just sitting there, just, you know, nothing crazy special, but, you know, it's like, you know, I was writing these kind of R&B feeling, you know, soul tunes. And so once we had this band and had this record, it was like, I remember taking the guitar off for the first time and I was like, oh my God, I'm just completely naked up here. I don't know what to do with my hands and my arms. What do I walk? And so that was the like barrier of like, okay, this is a different thing now.
Yeah. Do you remember the first show that you were real comfortable? Like, holy shit, dude, I'm becoming a different beast.
I don't remember the first one where it like was awesome. But I remember there's this place called the Basement in town, the OG Basement on 8th Avenue, and it was the first time I'd ever sold any place out. And, it was like 150 people, but it wasn't like 150 of my friends. So, it was.
So it's like actual fans. It wasn't like, oh, people are coming just to hang out with, they're forced to come. It's like, holy shit, I'm starting to grow a fucking fan base.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a fan base, but people were there and they were excited. And so, yeah, man, I remember that, and it totally blew my mind. And even still to this day, it blows my mind. But yeah, it was like, okay, I took the guitar off, and I was like, okay, you got a couple songs, or you're just gonna be up here. And I was like, okay, this is
let's fucking go.
This is the thing that scares me to death. So, all right, I'm gonna run toward that a little more.
That's fucking great. So, are you a competitive guy?
I wouldn't say not to the point to where not in an aggressive manner. I definitely like to win, and I like to be prepared.
Right.
But it's not like I don't have the I'm going to win over you kind of thing. That's never been necessarily my musical mentality. I'm kind of the thought of like there's enough for everybody.
Oh, cool. So like when you see Sturgill and all these guys starting popping off, and you're all like basically all the trajectory of the same records coming out in the same year, and that never got to you. Like why aren't I as big as Sturgill yet, or like why aren't I as big as Isbell? Did that ever cross your mind?
No, I've never had this like grandiose thing, because like it's never been my objective to be like the person, or to be like this. I never had like the look at me's of like I need this to feel important kind of thing. Like that, I didn't need my ego stroked that bad. I mean, of course, I'm a performer, and I like to be, I like claps, just to show that like what I'm doing is effective,
Right.
But it was never to the point of like of jealousy, and especially folks like that were incredibly gifted at their craft. So if anything, it's an inspiration that people like this are succeeding. So that's at least a shot that myself and other people have to be able to like go carve their own path and be themselves in the music that they make, and it be able to work. So like any of those kind of things, I applaud that, and I'm like, yes, I'm all for people being successful.
What's the vibe in Nashville like? Is it like that? Is it more people like-minded like that, or is it more cutthroat, competitive?
I would say there's probably in all like the like music business places I've been, I would say this is definitely the most supportive and collaborative that I've seen, because it's a town full of writers instead of town full of performers. I mean, I get there definitely is performers for sure, and damn good ones at that. But I would say that the songwriting culture here is probably the biggest and the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a whole just row of houses, downtown, of like everyday people show up as their job, and they're writing 2 or 3 songs a day with, 2 or 3 different people each time. So it turns into this, and then, everybody goes to the same bar after everybody gets done writing for the day. So it's very much this community of people that have this, we're just here to write. And so the ego isn't immediately on display. It's like, we're here to do the best job we can, so we can then give that to an artist, which usually it's either the producer or the artist in the room just make, if it's, kind of a pop scenario,
right.
That's kind of it. And then the exterior songwriters isn't so much of a factor, to where here it's like, it's a really big deal.
So what did Nashville and what did Cobb teach you about songwriting?
that this, I think it's just that the song is always the most important,
Yeah.
you know, um, and to kind of, and it's hard again to like strip the ego away from it, to be
Right.
like, it's not necessarily, it's this, I don't know, for me, it's this weird thing of like, you want the personality always to be shown, right? But it's like, does the song itself, is it good enough without the person singing it? To, you know, somebody like Chris Stapleton, like the guy can literally sing the phone book and it'll sound great.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't matter what the words are, but it just so happens like Chris is one of the best writers I've ever met in my entire life. And he knows his craft. And so I don't think he necessarily gets super tied up in like the, you know, everything I'm saying is like, it's just, it can all be interchanged and be flipped around. It's like, but it's like, you know, your craft. And if the song can stand by itself, then it's a good song. And like, without the good song, it's like, good luck.
Right.
You know, unless you are this powerhouse vocalist that like can do anything else. So it's just, you know, don't take it so personal, but still don't take the idea of a song not being good so personal, and just focus on the song.
Oh, that makes sense.
And if that makes any sense.
That totally does. And you know, you talk about mastering your craft. How long do you think it took you to start feeling like you're mastering the craft of songwriting?
I don't know if one ever really gets a like firm grasp on it. It's kind of, you just
Yeah.
show up and for your part of the, you just show up for your part of the job. And for me, like, I definitely go in waves of like feeling like, I mean, like right now I feel like I'm on the, you know, we're coming out of touring season, like the hardcore, like we're gone for months to where it's just self-preservation mode and
Yeah.
not much else can really exist there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, it's a muscle. So like, if you just got to get back into the gym and get that muscle strong again. And I think it's just a matter of repetitions and, you know, keeping that flex going.
How long does it normally take after a tour season for you to get back into like record mode?
I think it just depends. I would say like typically around like a month or so for me.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, we kind of do like about a month and a half on the road, a week or two home, and then we'll do that 3 or 4 times. So once it's all kind of over with, for me, it's like, you know, I like the Neanderthal stuff. It's like when I hang up with you, like I'm gonna paint the fence.
Hell yeah.
You know, it's just like stuff, like just everyday kind of things that for me I take for granted when I'm gone. That it's like I just need to get back to like being a person again and being just like, I need my brain to turn this other kind of noise off. So once I get back to music, it's like I have I at least know where I want to go, and I at least have some enthusiasm about getting there.
So balance is important to you.
Well, I think it's just like it's like a palate cleanser. You know, it's like after you're eating this one thing so much, it's like you just need a little bit of just normalcy just to get you back in the headspace of like, okay, we can be creative again. We got the all the laundry's put up, you know, the grass is cut, painted the fence, you know, spent some time with the girl, took her out to eat. All these things that if you're home all the time, you just kind of works normally.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm home writing all the time, it's like, well, I still got my evenings to be able to go do X, Y, and Z. But, you know, if you're gone for a month, that's a month worth of those little things that you start to miss.
Totally.
And so my thing is, it's like I love being, you know, out and touring and stuff like that, but also love like the little things that make life important. And so I feel like I just got to like shove all that missed opportunity. There's something I was reading talking about things called social strokes.
Tell me about it.
And it's like if you were I can't remember the name of this book, but Just say like if you're at an office building and, every day you walk by, your coworker's desk and you say hello, it's like count that as a stroke, right? And you build up all these social strokes to where you have this kind of like expectation of all these strokes that are getting met throughout the week. And say you go on vacation, you come back and then you stop back by that same person's desk, instead of just hello, well, it's, hey, how are you? We went on vacation. How are the kids? What's been going on? And so you're condensing all those tiny little strokes into this one moment. So I kind of like just view that about just everyday life of like, okay, we've been gone for a month, so I need to condense a month worth of things into like a couple weeks.
No, that's
to just feel like I got everything back.
No, that totally. You're totally right about it. It's like a regroup. It's like a team taking a timeout.
Yeah, have a little Gatorade break.
Have a little Gatorade break. I'm like that too. I do about 250 shows a year, and when it just takes a second to readjust, and I need to have, I call it OCD, but like I need to have like my things cleaned and my fucking, the whole detox ready to go before I could like jump back into it, or I start getting burnt out. You get burnt out a lot?
Yeah. I wouldn't say a lot, but I think it's just repetitive motion.
Yeah.
And, it's like, 1 o'clock sound check, all this, take a shower, day room, play the show, after show. It's like after you do that so much, you're like, okay, I need to do something else.
Yeah. Like, so like doing the normalcy of something kind of freaks you out. You need to like juggle a few different things.
Yeah. I like having stuff going on.
Yeah. That's great.
I like working with my hands a lot. I very much have that engineer brain to where like I need to be doing something, making something, fixing something. Like that just calms me down. If I don't have that kind of just, a small, like just, fixing the cabinets or something like that, just something keep me a little occupied and moving and touching stuff. I just rewired the studio, and it's like, that's my happy place, man.
That's sick, man. What about any parts in your career, like maybe one album or 2 albums or whatever, where you felt like the trajectory of where you think you should be versus who's helping you, like you're not seeing the same thing? Does that make sense? Like, was there like a record or something that you thought was going to be bigger and it just wasn't your time yet?
I'm just astounded that people will listen to me anyways. Like whether there's success or not, I'm just like, yeah, there's way better stuff to listen to, y'all.
You're being sweet. Anderson, you're fucking sick.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. But, I think, I don't really have any kind of grounds to like, I have no idea. Like, I don't think, it's like, what do you put yourself against? Are you like comparing your work to like a Aretha Franklin record? Like, get out of here.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's like, so I just have to start to detach all that. It's like, all I can do is just show up for me, and how people, perceive it. That's up to them. And,
how long did it take you to like really like understand that?
I think I'm still trying to like fully understand it, but it's to, there's like a healthy emotional detachment that I'm trying to like preserve now, of like, cause it's, like even like this last record we put out, like, I took a lot of emotional burden on unwarranted or unwarrantedly. I don't know which one's the right word. But yeah, like, I don't know, the attachment of like, this is me and this is what I'm trying to say. It's like, I'm trying to lose that, because the things that I've found that work the best for me are like the detached recklessness. You know, it's the childhood impulse that probably got us both started. It's that curiosity and like just wanting to explore the possibilities of something and just being reckless with it. And usually those are the moments that work out the best.
Right.
But again, like my engineer brain and perfectionist side just was like, well, if we just work a little harder at it, it'll be better. And that's unfortunately not usually the case.
It's true, man. You're totally spot on. It's
And
overthinking.
it's like, yeah, well, and you know, I was talking to Dave about this. We went down to Muscle Shoals and we're working on this project, and you know, we were kind of having a similar conversation, and I was talking to him. I was like, well, how do you just walk into the room? And he's like, look, man, you just have to leave room for magic. And that sentence has stuck with me ever since he said it. And it's like, that's so true. You know, it's
Seriously.
like you can't tame this wild force of whatever we're trying to, you know, be in balance with. And if you try to just, it's same with any kind of, you know, whether it's a relationship or a friendship or anything like that. It's like the more you try to like assert your dominance and your control over it, the worse it's going to be. You know, you're not allowing it to breathe and be itself. And so, you know, it's a hard lesson to learn that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, even more so, I'm just like, how do we just keep providing space for there to be magic?
Right. So, and it's basically leaving a little bit off the end for magic to grow. Like, that's such a good point, Anderson. Like, you can't control magic. It just has to come. It's like forcing love. You can't force love. You know, you need that magic needs to come, or you're just you're trying too hard.
Yeah, I mean, but it's that balance, right?
Exactly.
It's to where you've got to be prepared, and you have to have honed your craft, and you have to be able to perform when it's your time to perform, whether that's in, you know, your writing muscle. Like, that's something you have to practice doing. You know, you have to learn the craft of it, and then, you know, keep that muscle, you know, in balance, but also have the recklessness, you know, just to say some weird shit, and, you know, and then it goes, well, that just opens this other little place, or, you know. So it's this, everything's this dance of, you know, of doing your best and being professional at whatever you're doing, but still being a child and having that sense of wonder and spontaneity.
And like, isn't that the reason why we do music in the first place? Is that spontaneity that when we were kids, that's what made us the happiest, is when we made shit out of our ass, you know?
Yeah. My trumpet player, he always like pulls the dad joke, and he goes, they don't call it playing for a reason, or something like that. You know, it's like, or it's called playing for a reason.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man, it's like, we're just playing.
Yeah.
Like, none of this is like super serious.
Right.
But it's also the most serious thing that is, you know. It's like, it keeps blowing my mind. I like seeing both sides of everything, of like, you know, after we get done with the show, I'm like, this is so absurd.
I know, dude. I'm the same way, bro.
It is so stupid, but it matters so much.
I know.
You know, like it means everything and nothing in this like gorgeous way that, yeah, it's just hard to, like, you can't just start to define things. It's, I don't know. It's
Isn't
wild.
that life too?
Yeah, man. Yeah, just like, it makes me restless. I'm like, oh shit, I got.
Yeah, me too, man. It's like life is the most beautiful thing, and you know, if we don't leave any room for magic, then we start getting restless. You know, it's like that fine balance of being prepared for the moment, whatever life gives you, but also being prepared for a little improv.
Yeah,
see what life is all about. Tell me more. Oh man, Anderson, you have an amazing story, man. Tell me more about Dave and what his process is when you're making a record. Like, what does he teach you about, like, just building a whole project as a whole? Or does it not even matter?
I don't think it's this, at least for me, it's never, I don't know, again, it's that balance, but it's never, we're walking in to do this like grandiose thing, right? The song has to be there.
Right.
Like that's the number one. But, and a lot of people I've worked with, they're big into pre-production, and it's all this time beforehand of like, okay, let's go through the songs, work it up, fiddle everything down. And it's just an exhaustive period. And usually like, people that do demos as well, like there's none of that.
Really?
So if anything, it's just like, granted this last record, with COVID and everything kind of put a different spin on that. But typically it's just like walk in with kind of just like a, iPhone recording and just strum it through on guitar, and the band's just sitting there, and you just sit on a couple couches and just hash out the song for 20, 30 minutes, and then just walk over and cut it.
Yeah.
And then
not overthink
what you get's
it.
what you get.
Yeah. Don't overthink.
Not overthink it.
That's such different between have you ever made any records in LA?
No, I've never really made any record. I've gone to write, but I've never made anything out there.
Yeah, it's like the idea. I grew up in LA, and like making records in LA versus I made a couple records in Nashville versus LA is just like, yeah, you're totally right. They're all about pre-production and all these like little ambiances. And like literally I did a writing session with like 7 dudes, and then we just go in the studio the next day and just play the iPhone voice memo. And they're like, all right, let's start from here. I think it's a better way to do it because you're not overthinking the process as much, and instead of like going to the core of it, and the core is the songs, right?
Yeah, and the moment, it's hard to like recreate a thing. That's why I feel like demos, I would say on the average are probably a net negative if this is the way if you're gonna make a record with a band in that kind of way. I think making a demo is probably a bad call.
Yeah,
because what I've found is there will be one thing about the demo that is undeniable, and it's so special and just kind of captures the essence of the track. And then once you go to make the record, you're doing everything in your power to get that one thing that you saw special, to get that back. And you're not going to get it back, and you will go crazy trying.
Oh,
and so it's like,
fuck.
It's much better just to let it be in that moment.
Yeah.
In the, like, when you're finally ready to let the trigger be pulled, just do it all right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you'll go nuts.
Have you ever, has there ever been a moment where you're trying to chase a demo?
All the time. Every time I've ever made a demo and then tried to make it as a record, it's like, okay, but can we just like steal that and stretch it around? Because usually, we're not using a click track or anything, so there's no just like flying choruses, and there's not like, usually there's none of that. So it's just like,
what song do you still like?
luck.
Yeah, exactly. What song do you still fucking cringe about from a demo versus
all of them? Oh,
let's go. You're a perfectionist.
Yes.
I love it. I love it, dude.
With the sound effects.
You know what time it is. We're a real talk show here now.
Hell yeah. That's great.
Oh, man, that's got to kill you. So you said for your own mental health, you're like, fuck it. I'm not doing demos anymore. We're going to make this record, and we're just going to go in there and put our dicks out there and fucking get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so on this last record, on Maybe We Never Die, there was a large portion of time where people couldn't be around other human beings. So, I was just up in my room working, and my writing sessions were turning into these demos. And then, so I was like, well, this is the frame we're going to have to work off of because we don't really have any other options at the moment. And so I had to learn a whole nother skill set of just how do we, if we're going to be working off this fixed grid type system, how do we leave room for the humanity, at least tempo wise?
Right.
So, if we're working with, 8 or 16 bars, that is going to be, like some kind of loop that we're writing to. It's like, all right, so how do we manipulate the inside of that 8 bars that will then repeat, to where it's not so rigid.
Yeah.
And then we had, once we'd had that kind of framework, we had Nate Smith, who's like one of the most ridiculous drummers in the world, come and kind of like assess that in a live scenario. And then we go, okay, well, that feels really good, but it's like too off in some certain direction. So it's like, okay, how do we go from kind of robotic feel to humanistic and then find the balance between the two to make it all cohesive and work? So it's this real interesting kind of trying to like have your cake and eat it too thing. And
did you like the process this way, or was it harder for you in your head?
It was harder for me, just because there was no we got to get this done by this date kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of left to your own devices and being able to sit around and play with stuff, and which was great. Like you can overthink, but I did have the ability of just like exploring things and exploring different sounds and that I just normally wouldn't do, and my writing process changed, and so it was all these different factors kind of going into it. And I'm grateful that I've got the skill set now to be able to, like, whatever comes up in the future, I'll be able to hopefully address. But I'm grateful for it, but I definitely hope that we don't have to do it like that.
Yeah, dude, I feel that. But no, it's so funny. Like, you overthink it. It's like, was this like one of the most successful records you ever had?
I have no idea. I don't really pay attention.
Fuck yeah.
To any of that.
I'm clapping to that too. Let's go. Humble B. Let's go. You talk about the new writing process. You got a couple more minutes for me? Is that cool?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. You talk about this new writing process for this new record. What was your mindset? And like, did you like push back a little bit on learning this new type of writing process, or did you like fully accept that this is what it is? I'm just going to be an open vessel.
It was kind of like a waiting game. It was because usually how like we would go about making a record, it would be this in between period of tours. So we would like go in and do a week and then come back a month later and do a week.
Right.
And this time we were kind of expecting that to be the case. They were, it started with, the 2 weeks to slow the spread thing. And then it was 6 months later. And then you're like, I'm going to have to figure something out real quick.
Yeah, I fucking bet, dude.
And once that kind of happened, I was just like, well, if I'm here and I'm writing, I might as well, like, what would it sound like? I want at the end of the day for it to sound like it could be like on a record. So how do we approach writing toward that goal instead of, I just need to like chunk through this on acoustic guitar and we'll worry about it later.
Right.
So it's these two different mindsets of, it was just kind of exploring sonically what was inspiring in that moment and then making it lyrically match or vice versa. So it was just a different way of like approaching your day when usually it's just like sit down at the piano or just on a guitar, and it's this hyperhuman way of writing to where this was like, well, let's just, go into it with like, this is the record kind of thing.
Do you like working as a collaborator? Like, do you like working by yourself when you're writing songs?
I like writing with other people.
Yeah.
I kind of think of I admire the lonesome songwriter. I think it's like this picturesque kind of idea, but I just know that it's kind of like drinking, to where like if you sit around and drink by yourself for too long, it gets really sad and really dark and real morose, and it just turns into a pit it's hard to crawl out of, to where, you go have a beer or two with a couple buddies, you have a way better time, you laugh a lot, you have interesting conversations, and you ultimately get to a different place that you wouldn't get to by yourself. Both have their own valid places, but for me, I've just been fortunate to be around some of the best songwriters in the world, and they're my friends.
Yeah, sick.
So why wouldn't I want to hang out with those people?
Totally. Did you ever get like talk about substance abuse a little bit? Did you ever get into like drinking by yourself, alcoholism or coke or any of that stuff, or you always never really stayed clear?
No, nothing crazy. I think probably the worst. I'd gotten like really aggressive panic attacks in my early 20s, and
from what?
So I don't really think there was like a like determining factor, like a kind of an onset. I think it was just just coming of age and realizing that the world, like, nobody's coming to help, kind of thing. And so, and then it's just, that was like kind of before, there was like a big movement of the mental health world and all this shit. And so you just felt it was very isolating, and I thought I was going crazy, and like I was the only one in the world dealing with it.
Yeah, like hopeless.
Yeah. And it's just fearful, to where you're like, I'm just scared of this thing. And then that fear ultimately brings it back on. You have this anticipatory revolving door kind of thing. And so, I was on, a lot of medication for that for a long time. And ultimately, like, it just ended up doing the exact opposite of what it was supposed to. And then finally I was just like, well, something's got to give. So I was like, well, hell, man, I'm just going to go literally run the devil out of me. And just started that was the only thing that ever like really clicked, was just work it out.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like, we could like try to rely on drugs or pills and stuff to help us, but we also need to figure out what's triggering them in the first place too. That's you said what you said was so spot on. Run the devil out. Like, do you remember your first panic attack, and what did you think it was? A heart attack, or like what was that day when you're like? Because I didn't get panic attacks until my 20s too, and I didn't even know what they were. All of a sudden, one day I felt like I was having a fucking heart attack.
I remember I was driving. I think it was like after I think I graduated college, and I was driving back to Alabama, and I cracked my neck, and I thought I was about to die. So I didn't know what the hell was going on. And
while you were driving, or did you get in an accident?
No, I was just driving, and I just like, clack, and just ghost white, had to pull over. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then finally I made it down, and, I pretty much lay in the bed for like 2 days. So I had no idea. And I was like scared to tell anybody what was going on.
You didn't ask for help? Nothing.
No, I didn't even know how to ask. I didn't know what the hell these things were. And it would not let up. And then finally, my dad was like, I think I know what's going on here. So he's like, get in the truck. And he drove me to the emergency room. And I remember him, because he's dealt with them as well. So he had a pretty good idea what the hell was going on. And we get into the waiting room. He's like, how you feeling? It's like, feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. He's like, you know, why are you feeling pretty good? I was like, he's like, you're just at a place to where you know they can help you.
Yeah.
And that was enough. That's like, and so he gave me like the best advice ever that, you know, correlated to that. And just so much of what life is like, you know, next time you feel that shit coming on, just tell yourself, like, make it as bad as it can be.
Oh my
If
God.
this is going to happen, make it the worst it's going to be. And usually once you know, it's that, you know, staring at the dragon thing to where it starts to shrink, you know, and you look at it clear in the face and it just starts to dissipate.
When you start
And it's
becoming
just like,
less fearless about it, it dissipates.
Or yeah.
Dude, what a great shout out to your fucking dad, dude. He understood panic attacks. I'm gonna give him some love too, because like it's
man.
true. Once we know,
He's a good dude.
because once we know that we could have help, it's like why do we convince ourselves that we shouldn't communicate when really communication is the best way to get help?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I honestly cannot stress like just exercising.
Yeah.
Just do something with your body.
Yeah.
Because that's more and more like I find out with anything, it's like we all have like the caveman inside of us that just needs to get that caveman expression out.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Right.
You know, for me, it's like doing yard work or like just go run. Just make your body move and you'll just feel better. You will feel better.
Man, Ernst, this has been great, bro. We got to hang out sometime, bro. I'm going to be in town in a couple weeks. I'll shoot you a message. I'll give you my number, but let's hang out. Let's go like have a beer and like, I've been a fan of you forever. And all my friends in Nashville know you pretty well, or not pretty well, but just see you around, and you're a good dude. And I just want to, we should be friends, bro.
I would love that. I would love that, man.
Fuck yeah. I got one last question. I'm thinking about your grandfather a lot. I know how much he meant to you. How hard was his death?
Man, it still is tough. It was tough, but it was pretty incredible. Just seeing and hearing from, like, you know, he was a pastor, you know, a majority of his life, and was always there for everyone, you know, our family, everyone else in the community's family. So just to see how much better the world was because of him is incredibly inspiring and motivating to also, you know, hopefully, you know, when my day comes, that, you know, not to have, you know, people gushing about me, but just, you know, to be able to look back and be like, things are better because I existed.
Yeah.
And how much, you know, I think that's all of our goal, right?
Right.
I think like we're here. Everything is fleeting, right? But and the things you think are important one day don't mean shit a week from now.
Right.
And it ultimately just boils down to people and your family and your friends and just how much love you can put out there in the world in whatever capacity that is. And so for that, like, as difficult and different as the world will be, you know, going forward without him, it's the gratitude of having had him and having seen, you know, the expression, you know, or well done, good and faithful servant. Like,
yeah. Was he proud of you? Was he proud that you followed your dreams?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's definitely told me as such, and you know, him and everybody in my family has always been incredibly supportive, far beyond like what I would probably, if I had a child and they were doing this, there's no way.
Yeah.
I'd be like, let's rethink some things. But everybody's always, they're always my biggest cheerleader.
It's fucking great.
So
you talk about
super grateful.
That's awesome. I got one last question, and then I'll let you go do your fucking thing. Go paint that house, buddy. And I got you talk about what you want your grandfather to be remembered by. What about you? What do you want to be remembered by when you're long and gone?
Man, I think it's just that. I think that things were better because you existed.
Yeah.
And whether it's music, I get, every day, like somebody, it's, like a song that's played at their wedding, or, this something meant something. Like, it just blows my mind, like how involved you can be in someone's life and you don't even know them. And this one thing you did this one time has gone out and found its own legs in the world, and not necessarily made an impact, but has been a part of all these people's lives in a helpful manner.
Yeah.
And I think that's really incredible. And I'm really grateful to have that opportunity to be able to make things like that and to share things like that. And then super grateful to be able to witness it and people share that with me. And so I think that's kind of my main goal now, is like how to be good to those around me and my friends and family, and hopefully show them, their meaning to me, and just, it's to make heaven here on earth. Like,
yeah.
Ooh, heaven is a place
on earth. Hell yeah. I appreciate that, man. It's beautiful to hear. And, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like you're doing that, buddy. So thank you.
Well, that means world. I appreciate you saying that.
Fuck yeah, bro. Well, have a great day. Go fucking mow that lawn, Big Daddy. Go enjoy your time off, and let's get back to making records, buddy.
Let's do it, man. Well,
all
thanks, Andy. I appreciate it, brother.
Cheers, bro. And I'll hit you up. I'll shoot you a message on Instagram. I think we're Instagram friends, so we'll make it happen.
Beautiful.
All right, buddy. Have
Sounds
a great night. Hands and knees, everyone. Thank you. Later, bro.
Be good. Bye.